It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, actors, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mainz and Dutch. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague in a danger zone in Rainford is Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Very, very well, sir. Very, very well.
We've
He says, just as he about to blow his nose.
just about as he's about to dilate. We are in the final stretches of the regular season, Neil. 3 games left, which is
4.
Okay, Pro Bowl boy.
Just a little note to the various TV networks that you see on Game Pass to say, no one's watching it. No one wants to go to it. Let it go.
But the thing is, though, that's not actually true. Like 10 million people watch it a year. Now, that probably does question what else is on TV, but it is watched. So
Are there no cop dramas they can watch? Are they running short of them?
Tell you what, CBS, give me another naval crime drama stat. Otherwise, there will be trouble.
So, just so I understand it, this is pretty much the programming schedule for CBS. Crap comedy.
Yep.
Sport.
Yep.
Cop/investigative drama.
Yeah, cop or hospital-based drama. So basically, emergency services style drama. Is it CBS that's giving me Chicago, and then 3 versions of Chicago? I think they're giving me Chicago Fire, Chicago Medical, and Chicago PD, back to back to back.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Like Mark Harmon is on his 24th season of NCIS.
Yeah.
Surely you don't need that much money, Mark.
Yeah, come on, Mark. Just jib it, mate. But it's what's the I can state categorically, as pretty as Nina Dobrev is, I will die before I watch Fam.
Yeah. That's not for me. That Bingo Bob from West Wing can stay in West Wing.
Yeah, you stay in. Yeah.
I think what we should note is I am a million times happier watching Game Pass than I will be watching Sky. So we joke because we love. The only major fault that we have is we can't Deliveroo any of the food that they have on offer, because I don't know if anybody's noticed, but they seem to want to give away food to people. It's like, here's a burger, here's some chips, here's a massive drink. Oh, by the way, here's some nuggets, and it's £4. Whoa, I get nuggets as well. What's going on here? Why haven't I got some?
It's like, there must be a catch. No, there is no catch. Just get all this down here.
No, there's no catch. I mean, it's so cheap. Even the President of the United States of America thinks it's a bargain and buys 8 million hamburgers to
go with the coffee.
What? Well, anyway, this week...
Let's not.
Let's not. This week, we're going to do a review of a live event that Neil went to yesterday, which, according to NFL UK on Tuesday, was in Liverpool. I assume they were corrected by Wednesday. It was in the Wirral.
Oh, they were.
And so they should have been. We're then going to do the usual, as we've done in playoff time. We're going to plug into the Mainz Part 1, give you our divisional review, focus on the losers. That's right, more Eagles chat coming soon. I'm then going to give you my fantasy team of the week, and then we're going to give our championship picks based on the 2 what looks to be excellent games. First of all, O'Neill, NFL UK last night. You, Symes, are missing Challen, and unfortunately, where commitments abound for Michael. I assume that Newcastle are looking to buy the left foot of someone, so we had to work 47 extra hours. So you went to NFL UK last night. You saw the magnificent beard of Ryan Fitzpatrick. You saw Mohamed Sanu. How was it? What did they discuss?
It was very good. So Ryan Fitzpatrick he still always comes across as a guy who just can't believe he got the job. He's just very, very lugubrious, very laid back, very self-deprecating. Mohamed Sanu is. He was pleasantly surprising because he kept swearing. And also revealed that he literally hates the New Orleans Saints, especially Sean Payton. Dallas Clark was a joy as well. He was very entertaining, very, very lively. was ripping the back out of Neil Reynolds every opportunity he got. And Jeff was Jeff. So, you know, it was good. They took loads of questions. Simesy asked the question, you know, which rookies scared them when they went. So as rookies, which players scared them when they first landed on teams? And Ryan Fitzpatrick said it wasn't so much a player scared him, it was the fact that as a rookie he had to go into a huddle and call a play while he had Orlando Pace, Marshall Falk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. And he's like, so I have to tell these people what to do. Okay. Whereas Mohamed Sanu said his most frightening was Andrew Whitworth because he looks like Hodor, basically. But it was really, really good. Well turned out. Fabulous, fabulous attendance on the Wirral, not in Liverpool. They tried it. Oh, they tried it. But no, it was really good. This is the third of those types of events I've been to, and I think they have got better with each one. They vary the guests every year. Neil Reynolds does a very good job as the compere, as it were. Mm-hmm. It lets him be a bit looser than he is of a Sunday, which I know, say what you like about Mr. Reynolds, he has his detractors. He's a lot looser when he's in this environment, this setting, but it was really good. Basically, it's a friend of mine who I met there. He basically described it as a sportsman's dinner without the dinner.
Yeah, which I guess is what you want to do. That's kind of, you want to meet these people that you don't want. If you wanted, we've discussed in the past, Neil. Interviewing players isn't usually great because you get a load of non-verbal, non-answers that you don't want. You actually want them to be humans, right? It's good that they put them in a setting that allows them to be humans. I think, as what we'll get onto in the one thing I want to mention is the amount of people who shouted at Neil for the calling Kansas City Kansas when Kansas City's in Missouri and Kansas is a state is very similar to the fact that Wirral and Liverpool aren't the same place.
No.
Let's be brutally honest, Wirral's Wales, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But it's definitely not Liverpool. So yeah. I mean, I understand why NFL UK would have said that, but
they're wrong.
Do better.
It's also as well when they say, we were in the Wirral. No, you were on the Wirral. It's a peninsula.
Yeah, exactly.
You travelled to it. You were on it. You went in it. You were on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the Wirral, not Wirral, the Wirral.
Yeah, like the Asda. Like the
Asda, the home bargain. Never the Tesco, though.
No, never the Tesco. Indeed. Here, let's move
just
away
gripping
from that.
social commentary.
Gripping commentary on Northwest England. And plug into the Mainz part 1 and give our divisional reviews. We'll do it in order of the games as they were played. First game, Colts at Chiefs. And I guess, Neil, one of the things you always forget of, I think, with the gap between the wild card and the divisional matchups is that one of the teams had a bye for a reason. It's usually because they're really good. And it just looked like it was a bridge too far for the Colts, who had won so many games, they'd almost run out of puff, and that the Chiefs were infinitely better, and that's why they were the number 1 seed. Yeah,
I mean, it's a prime example. I think the divisional round was a great advert for why you push to get that bye. And that, it's as much as a late season surge, like the Colts and like the Eagles especially, to get into the playoffs. Yeah, it's great, it keeps your season alive, but as you say, there's a good chance you've shot your bolt by the time you get the last game. You can usually tell you've come a game too far, and the Colts were never in the game. They basically had done to them what they did to the Colts the Texans the week before. Now, we're not saying that the Colts had a bad season or a bad team. Of course they're not. They were one of the more pleasant surprises of the season. But the Kansas City Chiefs were a very good team for 17 weeks of the season, for the most part, and showed that they had the class to. They didn't get out of second gear, I don't think. I
didn't think Patrick Mahomes was, next level. I didn't think he was magnificent, but he made plays when he needed to make plays, I think. And he did, but you know better than me, Neil. You've had Andy Reid in your life basically for the whole period of your NFL watching career, and for 75% of it, it was your head coach. So when that punt is blocked and it goes to 17-7, you're like,
I've seen this
I've
before.
seen this before, and not in a good way. So I was really impressed from if I was a Chiefs fan, to think, you know, we haven't won a home playoff game since Joe Montana was the head coach. Andy Reid has let's be fair to him, a spotty playoff history. So when that happened, you just carried on doing what you were doing before, and you won the game comfortably.
Well, as we said, they had to stay aggressive, and they were aggressive. It was a controlled aggression. They knew what they could do, and they were kept to it. I think when you look at the Colts, we're looking ahead. They need. It sounds simple because there's a lot of teams in this position, but they need more playmakers, especially on offense. T.Y. Hilton has been nicked up for the last few weeks, and T.Y. Hilton's a tremendous player, but you could tell he's carrying the offense. And as we say, if he'd run out of puff by the time they got there, they all had. So if they still want to believe that that their window is open, which they have a quarterback, so it is, you have to put better players around him than Chester Rogers, Dontrell Inman, Ryan Grant.
I also think as well that you need to think, like, if you're the Colts, and this is not an Andrew Luck thing, this isn't a new Colts thing. This has been it since they've been incepted. They're a dome team, and now we can say, they play in the cold, but they're in the AFC. They're in the AFC South, so they play Jacksonville, Houston, and Tennessee, where it can be cold, to be fair. But they're a team that I would think would be built to win a home, right? So they need to be a team that plays multiple home games.
And especially as well, let's be honest as well, most Super Bowls now are played in domes. They're played indoors because they want to protect the weather. So if they can get there, they're with a fighting chance that way. And again, this just stresses the importance. You want to get the best chance to get to the Super Bowl, get a bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds simple. It sounds, but get one of those 2 seeds, and you've got a built-in advantage. You play a game less, and you're on your turf.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. Next game, Saturday night, was Cowboys at Rams. I guess if we take it from a slant of NFC East, to start with, Neil, there's a question whether this was bad news for this season was bad news for Cowboys fans and good news for Cowboys haters, because although they won the division and won a playoff game, it doesn't look like a team that can win the Super Bowl with the way it's constructed. Mainly a coach, to be honest. And
they're a classic results over process team.
And with that result, they then keep Jason Garrett because Jarrett can do what he wants, and they can win 10 games, but I'm not sure they're going to win 4 playoff games.
No, they can win 10 games, but we've seen what this happens under Jason Garrett. They're just as likely to go 7-9, 8-8 next season, and then the season after that go 12-4. There's no consistency because it was Mike Brealey who said you learn a lot from your defeats. Victories reinforce your mistakes, and that's basically, that could just be victory reinforced our mistakes. The 2018 Dallas Cowboys. We've seen what they want to do, and it's mind-numbingly stupid. That in the modern age, yes, Mari Cooper did a fabulous job, and you could argue turned their offense around. But ultimately, when it came down to it, and they had to make plays, what did they do? Nothing.
Yeah, they need playmakers just as much as the Colts, if not more. The defense is excellent, although it was fan wanting on Saturday night. It'd been good up to that point, so you don't know. What I find interesting is from a commentary after, it seems that the Rams knew exactly what the Cowboys were going to do, almost by play-by-play basis. They knew, they'd read them. They'd almost, in the words of Leeds United manager Bielsa, had spied on them, Neil, almost.
Or they've watched game film and they know exactly what they're going to do because they have no flexibility at all. No imagination, no flexibility.
Correct, and that's an issue that I'm not sure, unless you get a new coaching staff, you're going to stop. They are easy to understand and follow what they're going to do because they do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I think, we'll be polite, they're an execution football team in the sense that they don't disguise what they're going to do. No. They challenge you to stop it. Yeah. And if you can stop it, there's no plan B.
Absolutely. I think for it's just something they need to work on, I guess. And my concern always is things like Jason Garrett saying we're not going to change any of the coaches, then Gerrard saying, well, maybe we are. Like, who's in charge? I mean, we know, and
we know who's in charge.
We know who's in charge, but let's make it a little less obvious.
Yeah.
Chargers, first game on Sunday, Chargers are Patriots. Put game in inverted commas, like.
I've seen games where at half time you think, oh, this looks ugly. At this stage of a season, it was the first game I have ever looked at half time and said, pointless. I'm just not bothered watching.
I just look and think, similar to the Dallas Cowboys, right? Is that you have a scheme that works against Baltimore. Bravo. Got absolutely no problem with that, and you were excellent against Baltimore. Please don't think that you can do exactly the same thing again and stop the chameleon-like New England Patriots. And if you think you can, how about at 21-7, we possibly think about changing something to mix it up a bit?
Yeah, it's as I say, it was not working. I mean, it happened that the Patriots had that big, long first drive, but then all of a sudden, the Chargers hit on a big play, and as we said last week, the Chargers are going to need to keep hitting on their big plays. That's how they'll win. But then they couldn't get it. Then the Patriots scored again, and it's like, okay, well, there's no big play coming. There's no sustaining element. So what happens here? What happened? Oh.
I mean, the game was almost summed up by the fact that that's the first time in a very long time that the Patriots didn't defer, because they decided we need to be in the lead here. We need to kill all quote unquote momentum. We're going to keep the ball for 9 minutes. We're going to freeze the offense's backside off. Okay, the Chargers then scored on the next possession, but then the Patriots scored again, and then the Chargers didn't do anything. And it's easy to blame the defense because it was highly unimaginative and cost them a lot, but the offense wasn't great either. And I love Phil Rivers, but like 0-7 against Brady's just not going to fly.
No, and plus as well, with quarterbacks of a certain age, which by the way, it seems like we're on a weekly quest to praise them. There's a great article by Kevin Clark this week on the old quarterbacks. Why they're still dominating when they really shouldn't. If we look at quarterbacks of a certain age, you start looking for, okay, are they starting to lose it? And it was around the late part of the 2014 season that Peyton Manning started showing signs of weakness. Now, if you look after the Chiefs won in Kansas City in Week 15, where Phil Rivers completed 68% of his passes, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. You look at his next 3 games.
Yeah.
181 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 160 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 331 yards against the Patriots. Yeah. 51 attempts, 49% completion percentage, adjusted yards per attempt, 6.78. The Chargers were not the same team that last month of the season when they needed Rivers to be on it, and he was not on it. You said last week, ball out. He did not.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was the opposite of that, right? We said to win, he would need to be nearly perfect and be absolutely balls to the wall, and he just wasn't. And it's disappointing because I like, as I said, I like Phil Rivers, and it's not. I think I think we need to be honest now. He's now going to be the one of those three quarterbacks from the 2004 draft. He's going to be the one who doesn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think this was their chance this season. But as we know, the Patriots just suck, and everyone thinks they do. Laziest narrative I've ever heard in my life.
We'll come on to that. Last game, Neil, your game, Eagles at Saints.
Said it was pointless.
It wasn't, though. It wasn't. It was far from it, and you know that.
Did they win?
Fine. They didn't.
Did they win? Then it was pointless.
Yeah, well, true. I give you that. I guess, Neil, it's more a narrative going forward for the Eagles now, because it's the Wentz show now. But like, what does that mean? Like, because at the moment, and you know, he's been fantastic when he's played the first year. You then come back from injury, but we've now had 2 seasons where the franchise quarterback hasn't been able to finish a season.
Yeah, but we've seen in the past that young quarterbacks can get this injury-prone tag, but then all of a sudden, the second injury, it's a, come on, don't rush back. Listen to your body, not your coaches. Let them tell you when you're... I've been listening to, reading a book, John Feinstein, called The Quarterback.
Yeah.
And it follows basically the recent adventures of Andrew Luck, Joe Flacco, Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Doug Williams. And one of them, Andrew Luck, was in there, and it was saying that his first injury, he was telling himself, I'm okay, it doesn't hurt. And he came back, and it hurt. So the second injury, he just went, look, listen to your body. If it tells you it's not on, it's not on. And then we saw last year what happened. He came back. Wentz needs to be told, okay, look, recover, rest. OTAs isn't until April. He didn't take part in OTAs last year. He was doing the odd bit of practice. Because you know what Wentz is like? He will have rushed himself back.
Yeah.
So the injury tag, not bothered. I said at the time, I've been saying for weeks, the best thing for Eagles to do is say, thank you very much, Nick. You've been an absolute legend for us over the last 2 years. Here's a painting of a Spitfire. Now piss off. It's not good for the Eagles to have him still there, because there will be Eagles fans who, every incomplete pass, every interception, every drive that stalls, trade Wentz for 3 firsts. Like, do us a favour, shut up. Because there are people on Twitter, no one is giving 3 firsts for Wentz. Why? Because he's finished the last 2 seasons on injured reserve, as you've just said. No one's doing it. But moving forward, let's say, it's Wentz's team. I've said it for weeks. I'm happy to have been proved right. The thing now we have with the Eagles is, this is now your favourite time of the year. It's Howie season.
Well, yeah, like, for most other teams, people will be using phrases like cap hell. Do you know what I mean? Like, already over the cap, and like people are just like, so what's Howie going to pull out of his backside this year to somehow magically appear $30 million under the cap and signing some kind of Hall of Famer?
Because the Eagles, free agents on the Eagles this year: Brendan Graham, Golden Tate, Haloti Nada, Chance Warmack, Chris Maragos, Mike Wallace, Corey Graham, Darren Sproles, Ronald Darby, Richard Rodgers, Leroy Reynolds, Paul Warrilow, Jordan Matthews, Jordan Hicks, Jay Ajayi, DJ Alexander, Nate Studfeld, Rick Lovato, and Jake Elliott. So they're the free agents. So, with all those free agents coming in, the Eagles at the moment, as we stand, obviously they don't have to get under the salary cap yet, but at the moment the Eagles are $12 million over the cap for next year. Now, if they cut Nick Foles, that wipes out $18 million. So straight away, Eagles look in better shape. Then you've got players, that I dare say, something will be done with these contracts. Zach Ertz, Fletcher Cox, Alshon Jeffrey, Timmy Jernigan. These are all players that something can be done. But it's a question of, as we've seen, this team needs something vertical in their offense.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's Mac Hollins, who didn't play at all this season, or whether it's someone like Mike Wallace coming back. Does Deshaun Jackson want to take a very team-friendly deal to come back? The Eagles have to be able to... Yeah, I know. The Eagles have to be better at running the ball. Does that mean they get Jay Ajayi back? Does that mean they try and get someone like Tevin Coleman? Or, someone of that ilk? They're not going in for Le'Veon Bell. Literally cannot afford it, and I don't think Howie or Joe Douglas are big believers in putting that type of money into the running back.
They haven't done
But
it in the
we
past.
saw-
They haven't done it in the past, Neil, so I don't know why they
No.
start now.
Well, Joe Douglas is from Baltimore as well, and they got burnt the last time he was there by giving a running back a huge contract when they caught basically the rotting corpse of Ray Rice.
Yeah.
They paid him for what he'd done, and he gave them very little after it.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, as we've seen, NFC East, we know what the Cowboys are going to be. They're going to be inconsistent. We know what the Redskins are going to be. Inconsistent. Yeah. Giants, we don't know what they're going to be. So,
well,
can the Eagles...
The Giants have two positions, right? We've got a new quarterback, there's hope position, or we're going to give Eli one more year, and we're going to have a top 5 draft pick again. They're the two positions for the Giants.
So, do I think the Eagles are going to fall off the cliff? No. They're still going to compete next year. It's just, don't so much look now for look at the players. Don't be looking on Rotoworld for blurbs for Eagles players. Look on Rotoworld for blurbs for Howie Roseman. Because he's the man now. This is his time to shine.
Absolutely.
But if you'd have told me at 5-6 that the Eagles were driving with 2 minutes to go to beat the Saints in New Orleans to go to the championship game, I would have snapped your hand off. Other Eagles fans...
You're your most talented wide receiver in the hands, and he dropped it. And that's just... I mean, I'm not saying... I'm just not being critical. It was even closer than the 2 minute drive. Your quarterback hit your best wide receiver in the hands to win the game, and he dropped it. That's just what... sometimes it works like that.
Yeah, as I say, 5-6, I'd have snapped your hand off for this. Some Eagles fans I know would rather have lost out to get a veteran draft pick. Yeah, very good. So, and he knows what I'm talking about.
Because as we all know, the draft is absolute certainty.
It's a surefire.
It's a surefire certainty. Neil, let's get on to fancy team of the week. It's me again. Good week last week, but let's see how we get on this week.
Mainz and Duts, Daily Fantasy Team of the Week.
Show me the money.
Anyone picked James White last week? Anyone picked Michael Thomas last week? Anyone picked Damian Williams last week? That's 3 winners. We won't talk about the rest of the team, as I think they were mostly garbage.
Woe betide we talk about the failures.
Yeah, what? Not we don't look into the past. Look at bad things. We only look at successes.
Classic cop-out response. Carry on.
So that's this week. Usual fare, 50,000. It gets so much harder, because you got no one to pick, and then when you pick him, you're like, I've got no money left. So let's show you what I've done. My quarterback at 5,400, Jared Goff. Couldn't quite afford Drew Brees, and given the fact, and I know that the teams may still score, but I wasn't particularly interested in having to rely on one of the quarterbacks to do loads through the air in minus 1 billion degrees in Kansas City, so went with Goff.
Yeah, it was. I think if you're playing DFS this week, you want one of these two quarterbacks, ideally.
Not that, I am going to pick players from the other game. From Kansas City, New England game. I just, for quarterback, I need someone to throw a lot of yards, not just to throw to one guy 4 times for a touchdown. It becomes a different conversation, right? So yes. I wanted that. So running back, one is Alvin Kamara. As we'll come on to the game in a minute, I think I've got a feeling whoever runs the ball the best wins the game in New Orleans. Sounds a bit weird considering it's the way the teams are playing, but I've got Kamara, and he catches out the backfield as well. Running back 2, given the weather, given how the game might go, I've gone for Sony Michel. It's always a fear when you go with the Patriots, because one week you can pick a team of Patriots and they're great, and the next week you'll pick the same players and they don't get a touch. It's open to debate. I like Michel. I think he's a decent player. I think he's proven, let's be honest, proven our friend Chris Westing wrong on multitudes of occasions this year. So I have a sneaking feeling he'll be heavily involved in the offense this week.
The major issue I have with Sonny Michel is at home when they can ride him. Yeah, get him in. He's going to get all the carries. They go on the road and maybe they fall behind. He's off the field.
Yeah, I think so. But I think they're going to want to keep the ball, right? So they're going to, similar to how they played LA, they're going to want to dominate time of possession because they don't want Mahomes on the field. I mean, the game in New England, like they had it like something like 7-8 minutes more than the Chiefs, and they still only just won the game because Mahomes could do whatever he wanted on that game. So we'll see.
I think there is. I mean, as I say, he's had 11 targets all season because we know that if they're going to pass the ball, that's James White territory. I just want to have a quick look at his home road splits as well, because obviously the Patriots haven't been as great away from Foxborough as they have been. But I just want to see, using one of the wonderful apps at RotoViz, please go to rotoviz.com/game-splits for wonderful things like this. So I'll finish that commercial now while I'm just typing this in. And this is, I say, generally, this is just what my fear, because as we continually harp on about the good people at DraftKings, it's PPR. At home, 19.3 rush attempts per game for 90.8 yards. On the road, 13.29 for 55 yards. And in terms of PPR points, 14.7 at home, 7.5 on the road.
Gamble, no doubt. Not a gamble is wide receiver 1. That's Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints. Don't know if you know,
Mike.
He is good, and in 4 playoff games is averaging 129 yards and a touchdown.
Is it still possible that he is underrated?
Absolutely. Because if you said now, if you just randomly went up to someone and said, who are the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL? Not a lot of people would say Michael Thomas.
No.
I think you just went to a random person. I think they go Julio. They go
Nuke.
I don't think they go Nuke either. I
No,
think they go
Antonio
Julio,
Brown.
OBJ, and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And I think this season Michael Thomas has been better than all of them.
Well, he has statistically, and if you watch the eyeball test and the numbers.
Yeah, of course, and he's a good player. Dominant player. Wide receiver 2 is interesting, and I'll tell you why. We all know how the Patriots play, so I believe that the Patriots will have one and a half things they want to stop, or things they will stop. They will stop Travis Kelce, and they will attempt to stop Tyreek Hill. Therefore, I think for the Chiefs to move the ball, they're going to use Sammy Watkins. $4,000, Sammy Watkins.
He played well last week.
He did, and he's a decent player. And I don't know, what he's going to be like in sub-zero conditions. But I just look and think, if you're Belichick and the defensive coordinator, whose name escapes me, who's going to be the Cowboys coach, Flores, the new Dolphins coach, their job this week will be to stop Kelce, right? That's what their main focus will be. So I think that's what happens. Wide receiver 3 is wide receiver 1 on the Rams, and that's Robert Woods. I think it's very easy to, if you're picking in DraftKings this week in DFS, to think, I'm going to pick Brandon Cooks because it's a revenge game against the Saints. I'm going to pick Robert Woods because he's better.
He's more consistent.
And he's been more consistent throughout the whole year.
I say, just going back quickly to Sammy Watkins, against Indianapolis, where they didn't have to do an awful lot through the air, Mahomes. Sammy Watkins, 8 targets, 6 receptions for 62 yards. Before he got hurt, he had 7 targets, 4 receptions for 78, 9 targets, 8 receptions for 107, 5 for 5 for 62. And then he was 1 for 1 for 4 yards against the Rams in that game in week 11, and then he got hurt. So he was, then he comes back, and as you say, they know that everyone knows you need to stop Tyreek, you need to stop Kels, you need to stop Damian Williams. You can't stop everyone.
No,
I like that. That's good.
Tight end. I couldn't afford Travis Kelce, and given the fact that I believe that the main focus of the Patriots defense will be to stop Travis Kelce, I thought it was a bit weird to pick him. So I've picked Gronk, and I've picked Gronk because there's no one else to pick really, and
what a sad state of affairs that is.
No, I know, but all I really need to do is get one red zone target that goes in the end zone.
That'd be nice. He hasn't done that very often.
He hasn't. Flex Neil. I think you just got to get Tyreek Hill in your team, because if something happens on that offense, it will go through Tyreek Hill. So it may not be a consistent production, but if he had an 80-yard touchdown on some kind of reverse, you wouldn't be surprised. And I think
and he has hurt the Patriots in the past.
Exactly. And
just a quick one. Gronk didn't have a single red zone target in his last 2 regular season games. He didn't get any last week.
I don't know. He looks old and he looks slow. I don't think we can say otherwise. But if you were the Patriots and you thought, I'm not going to get him tremendously involved in the offense from a pass catching point of view until I absolutely need him. Well, there's only 2 games left. Now would be a really good time to absolutely need him.
Yeah. It's as I say, we are, in all likelihood, I think we are in the closing stages of the Rob Gronkowski era with the Patriots. So if it's, don't leave, if he has got anything left, may as well get it out of him now.
Yeah, absolutely. And defense and special teams, the Patriots, Neil, because something's going to happen, and they'll do something, and they'll get a takeaway. And I think we can't underestimate that this is the first time Patrick Mahomes has been in a game of this magnitude in college or in the NFL. He didn't play in a national title game. This isn't like Cam Newton or Deshaun Watson or whoever. Like, he went 8-5 with Texas Tech. So I've gone for the Patriots. So team recap: Jared Goff, Alvin Kamara, Sony Michel, can't guard Mike, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, Gronk. Final bow out time for him, I think. Tyreek Hill and the New England Patriots. So Neil, it's time to go plug into the Mainz again, part 2, and give those championship picks. So I guess for you, first game, the NFC, Rams at Saints. Saints are favoured by 3.5. What's your keys to victory? You've
alluded to it already. It's whichever team I think can control the ball, can dominate the run game. Because the Rams have allowed the 10th most rushing yards this season at 5.1 yards per carry. The Saints have allowed the second fewest rushing yards this season, 1283 at 3.6 yards per carry. The Saints have lost Sheldon Rankins, though. So they'll have to bring in Tyron Walker, I think his name is. I think he has been there before. That's a huge downgrade. Then we go to the other side of the ball. The Rams have the 3rd most rushing yards this season. The Saints have the 6th most rushing yards this season. Now, as we've seen in the last few weeks, whether it's been because he hasn't been fully fit or whether it's the fact that CJ Anderson has looked that good, Gurley hasn't had to do too much. But I think this is one of those games that, given it's likely to be high scoring, I want the more dynamic of the running backs, and that is Todd Gurley, obviously. CJ Anderson, they may well, short yardage or something, may, spell the odd series here, but I think Todd Gurley is obviously the key. Because I think you've had some very good games from CJ Anderson, obviously, since he signed, and he is a front man for everyone everywhere who says running backs don't matter. for what he did in a short space of time. On the flip side, Mark Ingram, bit of a plodder, potentially the last game he's got for the Saints. So it comes to Alvin Kamara. So it's a question of, put it simply, do you back Kamara or do you back Gurley?
I look at, if we go on to CJ Anderson, I look at the CJ Anderson thing and say, thanks for that few weeks to allow us to get Todd Gurley fitter, but those 15-20 carries is about to become 5 to 10 because Todd's better now, so off you go. I'm with you. It sounds really ridiculous, like it's the Rams against the Saints and we're talking about who can pound the rock better. I don't mean it like that. I just mean who's going to be able to control the clock better. And I just have to say, like, I watched Dallas Rams and I could watch them pre-snap, the Rams pre-snap forever. Like, who's going to get the ball? This guy's just running. We're giving it to the running back. Am I giving it to the wide receiver who's running in motion? Is Jared Goff going to keep it? Absolutely brilliant. I think it's underestimated in this game that the best defense in the whole of the playoffs left is the New Orleans Saints, which is absolute madness when you think about where we've been the last, I don't know, since they won the Super Bowl last time, I guess.
Yeah.
Sheldon Rankins is a massive miss. But even so, they still did well against the Eagles without him.
Yeah,
so
Marshall Lattimore was who got 2 interceptions. He's a special boy.
He is.
I think
he's talent.
One huge thing in the Rams' favour, and this isn't just a recent thing, this is all season. Even with no Cooper Kupp, they still have Brandon Cooks, they still have Robert Woods, they've got Todd Gurley, they've got Gerald Everett, they've got Tyler Higbee if they want to. The Saints have got Kamara and Michael Thomas. Now, they're great. Obviously, I'm not criticising them at all. They are two phenomenal players. That's it. There's no help coming from anyone else. Don't give me Ted Ginn. Lovely story. No. It's Thomas or Kamara. If, and it's a huge if because it hasn't happened yet, if someone can guard Mike, what have they got?
I just looked though. Who are they going to put on him? They're either going to put.
I think it's Talib.
Well, yeah.
It'll be Talib.
So it's either going to be really good or really bad. He is going to try and jump those routes so often, it's unbelievable. Which I suppose is much better than putting Marcus Peters on him, who would probably, I can say it because I am ginger, be beaten like a ginger stepchild.
And because we know Peters wants to be a hero, but doesn't want to do any of the dirty work. He might be I'll get that. Oh, I've missed. I'm no good. Whereas at least Talib, just ask Michael Crabtree, is going to be physical with him.
Exactly.
Is going to try, basically let him know I'm here. I ain't going anywhere.
No. So Rams at Saints, Neil. Saints are favoured by 3.5. Who you got?
I do love the Rams. I say it goes back to the early days of me watching the NFL. I have a soft spot for the Rams because of the Greatest Show on Turf, and I would dearly love them to win because I did say that they would be in the Super Bowl. However, because it's in the Superdome, despite the fact I think Sean Payton is a classless prick, and also the rubbing the nose in that they embarked on after beating the Eagles. It's like, yeah, but you haven't done anything. This isn't the Super Bowl. If you think it is, you're going to get your ass kicked. And I'll take great delight in seeing it. I don't think it will, unfortunately. But if it does, yeah, I'm going to take the Saints.
You would never guess that Sean Payton used to have Bill Parcells as his coach and be on the Dallas Cowboys squad with that kind of attitude towards the Philadelphia Eagles, would you?
And seriously as well, though, if this is a Saints v Patriots, I don't think I can cope with 2 weeks of Bill Parcells love.
Well,
because that's all it's going to be because of both the coaches. Don't think I can cope.
May I suggest earplugs?
Can I not? It's so much more pleasant if it's Rams against Chiefs. The Bill Walsh disciples. That's so much more pleasant.
It is. I'm going to pick the Saints too. I mean, I think we just they're at home. I don't think we should underestimate that. really, and they have the best defense. They have been efficient on offense, although not spectacular for about 6 weeks. But I think they've got a little bit too much at home with that noise, with that crowd. I'm going to take the Saints to probably win by a touchdown.
And if it comes down to it as well, of the two quarterbacks, one of them needs to make the play in the game. I'm taking Drew Brees.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even think it's close.
Absolutely. So, next game, Neil. We head to Kansas City. Cold Kansas City by the sound of things. And it's Patriots at Chiefs, and the Chiefs are favoured by 3-0. What are the keys to victory?
The last 3 times that the Chiefs have played the Patriots, 4 running backs have gone over 100 yards from scrimmage. 2 of those games, obviously, the Chiefs have won, one of them they lost this season. But again, they keep the running back involved on the ground and through the air. Now, it's not Kareem Hunt, but Damien Williams is fast. He's got 4.45 40-yard dash time. This season, he averages 6.6 yards per carry against a stack box, 4.9 yards per carry against a base front, 5.0 yards per carry against a light front. It's going to go through him. Yes, we know they've got Tyreek Hill, who's going to keep them honest because he's going to try and go deep. Travis Kelce, get the ball in his hand. You're going to have to be physical with him, but Patriots can do that. But I think the key player is Damien Williams if the Chiefs keep him involved and they mix up how they use him. Because the one thing that this Patriots defense does not have, that the Chiefs offense has in spades, is speed. And so I just think the danger of it being, one of those days for what is a good unit, if not, it's not littered with star players, it's still a bloody good unit, is that you can't coach speed.
No, I think from watching the Chiefs a lot, this season, is what did they do when the Pats take away Kelce? That's what is Mahomes going to do when that play is out of the playbook. There's still a multitude of other plays, but for me, it comes back to again what I said last week on this in when we were talked about Andy Reid. All of the playbook, Andy. I need you to be as innovative and aggressive as you can be. Because you're going to need to be. Because whatever Tom Brady and Julian Edelman, T-shirt maker extraordinaire, think, just because effing Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith and a couple of absolute bums decided they were going to pick the Chargers to win a game does not mean that everyone thinks you suck. That's not how this works. Now, I've got no problem, absolutely no problem with you using that as bulletin board material. Makes perfect sense to me. But let's not be naive about this, that you think that everyone thinks you suck. Because you don't.
Yeah.
Do you know
we
how
hate you. We don't suck because we think you suck.
Do you know how I know that nobody thinks you suck? Because this week, you are the underdogs by 3 points. And that is the first time in 66 games that a Tom Brady-led team have been underdogs. That would be the opposite of people thinking you suck.
Yeah. It's people hoping you suck.
Correct, Neil. There's a difference between thinking it happen and wanting it to happen. This Patriots team is exactly the same as every other Patriots team. Somehow, everybody has got it into their head that they haven't got talent.
Which is bollocks.
Which is obvious. It's clearly bollocks. Like, it must be bollocks. They've got to 8 AFC title games. I'm all right thinking, I spent from about 2001 to 2007 telling myself that this Manchester United team is shit. Because it's got John O'Shea, because it's got Wes Brown, because it's got Darren Fletcher, because Fabian Barthez is a midget. That's a great story. They won the league every effing year, so they couldn't have been that crap. So
no.
whether I believe it to be the case, I'm obviously wrong. So we can all hate the New England Patriots as a group of people outside of Boston and people who started watching the NFL in 2005 in the UK. We can all say that. Fine. It's not true. We just don't like them, which is fine. They have the best coach ever. Full stop. They have the best quarterback ever. Full stop. There's absolutely zero chance. I am not picking them to win this game because on the other side, they have Big Red, who we both love.
But we know his flaws.
Has consistently lost championship games, like he's won 1 and gone to 5.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes, MVP of the league, wonderful talent, never been in this position before. So why would I pick Reed and Mahomes, however much I admire them, over Belichick and Brady? That's insane.
Especially as we saw last week with the Chargers game. As I say, that was over at half-time. There are 3 numbers that remind me that will not apply should the Patriots go 17-0 down this game. And those 3 numbers are 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Belichick and Brady do not give up. I saw last year in the Super Bowl someone who I was basically just saying to him, "Don't give up. It's done, mate. You've lost it." And he refused. Players who suck don't do that. Teams that suck don't do that. Again, I'm with you. I am not in any way diminishing what Patrick Mahomes has done this season, because it's phenomenal. It's a joy to watch, and I look forward to watching it for years to come. I love Andy Reid. It finished poorly, sourly in Philadelphia, but I cannot take down what he did for the Eagles in making them what they are.
And However, Neil continues to do with the Eagles as the coaching staff is now basically Andy Reid's former coaching staff.
Yeah. But it's the AFC Championship game where, according to Wikipedia, one team fights for the right to play the New England Patriots every year. That's someone put that on Wikipedia today. They've been here before. They are that phrase I always liked using, battle-tested. Yeah, it might be cold, because it's bloody warm in New England, is it? No, sorry, not buying it. Not buying the crap. So you can, no one outside this locker room believes us. Really? You know that we're very dislikable. This crap doesn't help.
No, but they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to be likable. That's not their job. Their job is to win games, right? So I've got no problem with that. Just don't think that anybody's falling for the fact that anybody thinks you suck. Because if I look at my predictions for this year, I picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. Do you know what I did last year? Picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. Do you know what I did the year before? Picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl. So, okay, I'm not on ESPN, but it's not like people are thinking, wow, Mainz with this out-of-the-box thinking of picking the best coach and the best quarterback every year. Yeah.
Plucky underdog Patriots. That tag died in 2001.
I mean, you could stretch to possibly 2003, right? Because they were rubbish in 2002. But after that, put that in a box somewhere.
Yeah. You don't get to use that until Bill and Tom piss off. You do not get to use that.
Yeah. So for me,
I mean, basically, what we basically just ranted about it. The game itself, it comes down again what we said with the Chiefs: stay aggressive. If you get your foot on their neck, keep it there, because they won't stop.
My thing is the Chiefs. I always bring this back to football, and it usually becomes either the Reds or Manchester United. So it's going to be Liverpool at this point. The Chiefs are top of the league. They're at home. And they're playing a team that people think they should beat. And what I mean by people, I mean Las Vegas. Right?
Mm.
What happens to the crowd, which hasn't seen much success and seen a lot of failure, when they go 7-0 down? What happens? Yeah, what happens if it's 17-3? So it's as much on all those old farts who are in that stadium to stay positive as long as you can, as much as it's on Reed and Mahomes, because they need you in this game. Because you know what? You can't make enough noise to put off Tom Brady, you won't. And they're getting 28 points. For me, just that's nailed on. So your job is to make sure they don't get more than 28 points and you get 30.
It was over at half-time at Foxborough when these two teams played. And look how close that was.
I know.
So, again, don't lose hope if you go down. Because, as I say, if you flip it, they're the road team. They're the underdogs. If they go 17-3 down, they will not throw the towel in.
No.
You can't if you're 17-3 up. If it has to be, it's not going to happen. But if it came to the situation of just keep scoring, because believe me, they do it to you.
And the funny thing is, Neil, the reason we're in this situation is because the Patriots allowed one of the most bizarrest plays in Miami. Otherwise, this game would be in Foxborough and the Patriots would be favoured by 7.
Yeah.
So, me and Neil both picking Saints Patriots. So, for all you Giant fans out there, dust off your Bill Parcells books. We're going back old school 80s NFC footy.
Yeah, you are what your record is.
Correct. Neil, we're nearly on the hour mark, so tell people where they can catch you this week.
This week, I have been continuing my NFL draft prospect previews for RotoViz, basically focusing on the tight end. As you pointed out, who was it who said it? Was it Todd McShay?
Tom McShay
said that this year's tight end class looks really good. It's on paper, it could be as talented as the 2017 class. There are some excellent prospects. Obviously, it's at the moment these reviews that I'm writing are looking at their college production, looking at their measurables. At the moment, we're still going to have to wait for the combine to get an awful lot of them to try and get their 40-yard dash time, their vert, their bench presses. That's when we can really tell who is going to be the stars. And as we know, tight ends don't do anything as rookies, so come back to me in 2 years for these guys, but that's what I've been writing. And follow me on the Twitter machine at ndutton13.
I am at Mainz7. Enjoy the championship games. They're late, but they're worth it. This is big time football. And when we speak to you next, we'll be talking about the two teams in the Super Bowl. On that note, these top guys are out.